Hey there traders, welcome back for episode 97 from the StockBandit.tv. It's a place you can always find trading videos to make you better, and I'm sure glad to see you here. Alright, so in this episode, what I want to do is show you a trade that I made today and talk about risk reward a little bit. I'm going to walk you through how I discovered this trade, what caught my attention, why I decided to take it, where I put my stop, and when and why I got out. So I know that sounds like a lot, but I promise it'll go fast. So quite often lately, and we're looking at an intraday chart here of the NASDAQ. These are 2-minute bars of the NASDAQ composite. But a lot of times lately, we've noticed that the market's been making its best moves early in the session. So generally, that's been right around the 1 hour mark. So from the time we start the day, that's not a very good vertical line, but till about 1 hour in has been the time frame that we've seen the best movement take place. Well, you know, from there we've seen quite a few minor reversals or just some stabilization in the market one way or the other. If we've been rallying early, we've been kind of leveling off. If we've been selling off early, we've been seeing a little bit of bounce or stabilization setting in for the most part. And that's not been every single day, but it's been kind of the character of the market lately. That's probably just due to the late August, you know, pre-Labor Day holiday type of price action, the time of year that we're in. I would expect that to change here in the next couple of weeks as everyone returns back to kind of the normal mode for the fall. So today, obviously, we saw that happen once again. I'm recording this in the middle of the day right now. It's about an hour and a half till the closing bell, as you see here on the clock. So the day's not over yet, but for now, we have set the high and the low of the day in the first hour, and we're still in between that range, and we've recovered a little bit. Well, so getting rid of some of these lines here, here's today's opening gap. So we gapped higher, we sold off. So the market was weak and it was trending lower here for the first hour. Then we started to bounce. So that was my indication, along with the time, that okay, it's time to pay attention that maybe the high and the low have been set for the day. That still has yet to be proven even at that point in time, but I felt like, okay, I need to be aware of that just in general as a trader. So right around the same time, I noticed in my trade ideas filter that I use, it kept sending through this stock that was hitting lows and just trending lower throughout the morning. And so here's the stock. It's OSIR. This right here, this big vertical line I'm drawing here, was the start of today's action. We see this stock just go through kind of a waterfall type price action here. Major sell-off. This thing gave up about 23% from where it started and where the low ended up being. So major sell-off, but just solid red price action here, as you see. So I'm going to zoom in on the chart here and clip it back a little bit here so we can zoom in on the price action that I'm wanting to show you. But essentially, here's a stock that was taking a major beating, and just maybe 10-15 minutes after that NASDAQ looked like it may be bouncing was when this stock was still hitting new lows. Well, around the same time, I noticed a couple things. Notice these 3 bars right here in OSIR. Okay, they're all red candles, but they're getting narrower for one. Each candle is smaller than the one before, and we're getting some weak closes. So you notice these little, wicks or shadows underneath the candle bodies. It's kind of implying that the downside momentum is maybe starting to fade a little bit. So around the same time, taking a glance at the daily chart over here, I noticed that OSIR was coming into this same support zone right around the $11 area. So it was testing longer term support from this summer. And so as I went back over to the intraday chart, I felt like, okay, this thing's sold off huge. The market's trying to bounce. This thing has come into a big area of support, and it's now finding less and less conviction on these downside candles. So what that did to me was really just imply my risk reward here could be very good for a trade. So what I did was, this thing was under $11. I believe 1091 was the low right there. So I decided if I could start getting a green candle, and if this thing turned back up through the $11 mark, I'd be getting on it for a day trade on the long side, just looking for a bounce type of play. So that's what I did. I got long at $11 as the stock moved back up through it. The first bar was a little bit shaky, kind of a little bit back and forth, but it never broke the low. And I actually just set my stop right down here about a penny below the low. So essentially I was risking from $11 to $10.90. So very tight risk here, only risking a dime for what could turn into be a very good trade. Well, this thing, again, I was only looking for a bounce, and I ended up only being in this trade for about 10 minutes, but it was enough to really provide me with a great pop. And what happened was things started grinding higher very soon after I entered, and then it kind of leveled off here right around this 1150 zone. And that was my indication that maybe this bounce is losing some momentum, so I went and locked in profits at 1150. So ultimately, I walk away with a 50-cent gain in this stock, but only a short time later, this thing runs all the way back up and tags 12.35. So my exit certainly was not great. In fact, I only caught a portion of this move, a little bit less than half, if you want to just measure it that way. So while I nailed the entry, my exit still left a lot to be desired. Nonetheless, I was very pleased with the trade, and I'll tell you why. My risk reward in this trade ended up being about 5 to 1. Okay, that's an excellent ratio for any trade. And so I'm risking a dime, and I end up making 50 cents. And I think the factors that really led to a great winning trade were these. I just want to outline these for you quickly. First, corresponding market action really indicated a bounce could arrive. So again, the time of the day and the action that we've been noting in the market lately looked like we were bottoming out. This stock looked like it may try to participate with that. Second factor was prior support on the daily chart. Remember, if I flip back over here and show you, this OSIR was testing this same 11 area where it had bounced from in recent weeks. Okay, so that's the second thing. And then the third thing was this intraday price action just really was suggesting that the downside was losing some momentum. So the lack of weak closes on these last few bars here just indicated to me that the downside was losing some momentum, and that maybe a reversal could become a possibility and start to develop. So all these factors really just combined with what appeared to be some downside exhaustion taking place in this stock after this big major waterfall move. And so the ingredients were present for a great trade. And that definitely did not guarantee me that the trade was going to work, but what it did was give me the confidence to place that trade and know that my risk reward was extremely favorable. And that's just absolutely important for every trade that we're going to be making, okay? You or me, the thing we've got to do as traders is measure our risk reward and then put that money at risk when we feel like those conditions are favorable for us, all right? So watch for multiple factors like that to kind of align for your next trade, because I know it's going to help you. All right, thanks again for joining me for this episode. I will be back soon with more videos, but until then, trade like a bandit.